Hello, welcome to the first St. Damien community interview. In this series, we're going to introduce some of the members of the St. Damien community. And just to briefly introduce, we're a religious community that lives in Leuven, Belgium, and we primarily study theology and philosophy. And we all live at American College, which is in the background here. So today we're going to interview Hayden Aiello, who joined the community last year. He's from New York. He converted to Eastern Orthodoxy, I think around 2 years ago now. And what we're going to be discussing is some of his work as an iconographer, some of his experiences in the community, and also a bit about his prayer life. So I hope you enjoy. Thank you very much.
There are a lot of great things about our community, but I think I'm going to be careful with my words. I think the diversity is one of the benefits of our community, because like I was talking with the Yosarian earlier, and he was saying that he was living in a housing community in another building, and it was like half Belgians, so it's kind of like pretty limited. And the thing is, like, the Belgian students go home on the weekend, and so half the community kind of leaves. Whereas here, everyone's we're stuck with one another. We're in it together.
We have no family over here.
Yeah, so we're each other's family when we're here.
We're like an orphanage.
Exactly. That's exactly what it is. No, in a real way, we're one another's support system to a real extent while we're here.
True. Yeah.
So it is like really meaningful, because if you just came here, you don't have family, and you don't have these connections, then you're really on your own. So it is like, as much as it's often like, it's more than that, it's like friendships and like lasting connections and all these things, but on a base level, it's like having a support system.
Let's talk about the old members.
The old members, the ones that are gone.
They're not gone from our hearts, though.
That's right.
They're still
not gone from our hearts. They will always be there in our hearts.
Yeah. Okay. Let's talk about them. Who will you miss the most?
Well, it's a difficult question, isn't it?
Yeah. Choose one.
One.
And then talk shit about the others.
Well, it comes to mind because I was just texting him a couple hours ago. Matthew McLeod, the Canadian. He's no longer with us.
Yeah. He's in London.
He's gone over to the dark side.
Yeah. The dark side. I'm from that side, man.
So I'll miss Matthew. I miss Matthew. I mean, I think it was. He and I were. I think we were the only Eastern Orthodox members last year.
You were cornered.
Yeah. So the two of us had a special connection in that sense.
Yeah.
I mean, we went to church together almost every weekend.
Yeah.
We were part of the same Orthodox parish here. Yeah. And now, particularly when I go there, his absence is like palpable to me. But it was like, that was a special dimension to our connection.
Yeah. It's interesting because he's not Eastern European. So he's Canadian, and you're also from America. So
we're both North American and Orthodox converts. So we have a lot in common, and we can really share.
Are there similarities between like his way to Orthodoxy and yours, or is it like pretty separate journeys?
The journeys were pretty different, because he really experienced like a whole range of like Christian experience. Like he went from grew up Protestant to he kind of like jumped around a variety of like Protestant denominations, and then ended up, as his dad converted to Orthodoxy, and then he kind of followed him. But his mom is still Protestant and active in that. So it's different for me. Like neither of my parents are churchgoers, and I wasn't part of a church growing up.
I mean, they had a pretty funny reaction to you saying you were Orthodox, right?
Yeah. It was a process. And it's understandable. I mean, I was 16. from my parents' perspective, I had gone through so many phases. I had my gym phase. My, like the phases of teenage years are unpredictable. And so like it was like, okay, the next one is Orthodox Christian, right? This is his next thing.
Specifically J. Dyer.
Yeah, exactly. That's right. Like online apologist, ortho bro, Christendom. And at that point, I was very immature, and I think from their perspective, if I were my parents, I would have been like, all right, man, like this is no good. But thankfully, I received their support, and I was able to, thrive and actually mature in my faith, and now I've arrived to.
How did you get out of that ortho bro phase to like serious, like, orthodoxy, prayer life, meditative, contemplative life?
Meeting an actual Orthodox priest. That was the main thing, because I came into it, I had spent about 2 months just basically like, being an ortho bro online and like watching all these apologists and people debating each other. And then I hadn't even stepped into a church, and I was like petrified of speaking to people. So, I wasn't like actually living a Christian life. And so as soon as I actually entered a church and interacted with a real priest, that humbled and totally destroyed like my perception of what Orthodox Christianity was. And immediately I told him, I've been watching all of these people online, and he said, don't watch that, like, because there's no love in it, I mean, I think we, like, especially converts, really get wrapped up in this kind of like online, just like aggressive apologists like Christianity. But it doesn't take root. I mean, eventually you realize how hollow it is, and it's not based in Christ. It's like, it really isn't about life in Christ.
Did you start, like, I know a lot of that kind of ortho bro, like they start learning how to really debate well, like, like they can really like, they really learn how to tear down their opponents. Did you ever like have that sort of phase where you were like, apologist extreme?
I would say I never actually got good at debating anyone. I mean, the truth is I never even like practiced it. I would just be watching it. And I think the main thing was, in my experience, in my interactions, especially with my parents at the time, and most of my friends, because I grew up mostly surrounded by atheist people, I was just frustrated that no one seemed to understand me. And so the way I think I kind of got that out, or like, let out that kind of frustration, was by watching these debates. But there was no like practice. I didn't debate anyone. I was never like converting anyone or trying to, or anything like that. I was never into evangelization.
It was
or
entertainment.
It was really entertainment, and it was just, so I mean, and I was very antisocial in high school, so that was kind of how I'd like to spend my time. But I think anyone who's had a similar experience realizes eventually that it doesn't work.
And what was it like, because Orthodoxy, Eastern Orthodoxy is, when you say you're an Eastern Orthodox to a Christian of a different denomination, like a Catholic, like the first thing I think of is prayer, mystical life, that kind of sense. Do you remember like what it was like the first time trying to pray, and then like slowly learning from your priest and your community like how to do it? What that was like?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I this is like embarrassing and crazy to say, but the truth is, when I began praying, my understanding of prayer was exactly the understanding of the Pharisee, of the in the parable of the publican and the Pharisee, of this like, oh, thank you, Lord, for making me not like them. This was actually how I would initially pray, because my first initial phase where I had this headspace I got in that, I'm so much better than, how my atheist past and my atheist parents and my atheist friends, and I legitimately let myself believe like, God has allowed me to be better, and and that was like what initially I thought prayer was. I was like exalting myself, and I think that's the headspace that these like, online ortho bro kind of people get into. And it's not what you realize like very quickly. If you go to a service, like at that point, when I actually went to an Orthodox divine liturgy, I was like humbled because I realized, oh no, this is not what prayer is. Like prayer is a sacrifice. It's it's discipline and taking up the cross. It's not like just inflating yourself. It's actually breaking yourself down.
I had I didn't have that Pharisaic zeal, but I did have a different thing where, and it's interesting you said this, because I had a thing where I would see these like monks who had this like, this aura of silence and contemplation. And I'd be like, I remember being like, I want to be like that, but not for the sake of like their contemplative life, but for the sake of like being around like others who aren't like that, or have that like sort of, that different kind of feel.
The aura.
The aura,
yeah.
And it's like 17-year-old self like trying, and then actually trying to cultivate that and being like, no, these monks are only able to do that because they are committed. They aren't thinking about themselves or what they're like to others, right? So, and the idea, like, man, it really takes discipline because, I remember the first, like, I thought the first few times, like, I tried to pray, I just basically gave up like 5 minutes in because I was just thinking of other things. And like, I had this ideal of like, a silent prayer type where they just completely are lost themselves into like a trance state. And I was that was just not what the discipline was about, right? That's just fantasies. I've never actually asked you this, but like, what's your go-to way of praying or entering into a prayerful state? What's your like, what habits do you have in that sort of aspect of your life?
Something you can quickly identify as like a strong aspect of the Eastern Orthodox tradition is the use of prostrations. So like full bowing and touching your head to the ground. And for me, that's something that is like fundamental to my prayer life and my, and I think it's particularly because it really is humbling, like both physically and mentally. I mean, you're abasing yourself as much as physically possible. And I feel like it's something I really like to incorporate in my prayer. And without that kind of physical element, it feels almost like kind of empty to me. I mean, not empty, but it's just, it's difficult to totally engage with it the same way. And maybe, I don't know, maybe it's because I've always like been very active and I've always kind of, it's been always been like an element of my life that's important, but for whatever reason, it's something that I really appreciate in my prayer life, and like without it, it would be very different. And the Jesus prayer as well, like that's something that is kind of a backbone of like my daily routine and just my prayer life. And it's something that we try to do, like the ideal is to be doing the Jesus prayer constantly.
There's this idea that apparently I've been slowly trying out the Jesus prayer, but the idea of like when you get into the habit of breathing in to the Lord Jesus Christ bit and then breathing out, have mercy on me, sinner. And then ultimately when you're just working, you're in the habit of just breathing in and breathing out, and that prayer kind of just is integrated into your soul, right?
It's amazing.
There's a story of that. I remember you told me that story of a monk like doing their Jesus prayer in their sleep or something.
Monk on Mount Athos. It was a story my priest told me from someone who he knew who visited Mount Athos, that he was visiting a monastery, and sometimes they just have so many visitors that they're like, okay, all of you are just gonna have to like sleep on the floor in the the dining hall, and so they were like just sleeping there. And the adjacent wall, like some of the brothers were living on the other side, and he was near the wall and he heard this kind of scratching, and he thought like it was a mouse or something, and so he walks around to try to check it out, and he sees this monk in bed just like lying by the wall, asleep, but his hand is on his prayer rope, and he's continuing the Jesus prayer through his sleep.
That's truly praying unceasingly. Like, Okay, so Jesus prayer and the physicality. Yeah, because I remember like, because I watch a lot of Rowan Williams and I listen to him talk a lot, and like whenever he gives like prayer advice, the first thing he says is think about physically like what you're doing, and the way he describes like what happens in prayer, he uses a lot of like physical language where he talks about like ears expanding, you can feel your heart like resting or burning or something like that. So it's quite interesting. It's also like, I think you have it when you like listen to different kinds of music as well.
Oh yeah.
Sometimes with like, with Bach, somehow like listening to that while slouched like this just doesn't quite work. Your body actually has to do something to actually be receptive to like that music, right? Whereas if you listen to, I don't know, Katy Perry, you can, sit in the living room couch and just relax.
Yeah.
Right? It's very different like experiences.
It takes active listening.
Yeah,
In,
yeah. In New York, there's a Greek Orthodox community, right?
Yeah.
It's is that your main like community? The people you hang out with are from that community?
Yeah, I mean, it's like for me, it was interesting because in high school, like I said, was very antisocial. So I think it was junior year of high school. So like I was like 16, turning 17 that year.
Yeah.
And basically had no friends. I mean, I had a couple friendships, but they were like more like acquaintances than friends, really.
Yeah.
And I was really nervous to start going to this church, and I knew no one, and felt really kind of scary. And initially, I really only knew the priest, but I started to get to know some of the other high schoolers there, and eventually, like a lot of other college-age people started coming in, and other people were converting.
Were they
actually
there before?
No. It was like funnily enough, it was right around the time I joined the community. Like a bunch
You're like
of
one of those saints who convert whole countries.
No. Well, there was something. The Spirit was doing something because all of us kind of showed up all together, and So I really like got to know these people, and I made like these incredible friendships in just like the year or two that I was at that church and really active at that community before I came here. And my best friends are from that church, and one of them is my godson, because I ended up sponsoring his baptism. So it's amazing, like the level of connection that in 2 years I had is like greater than the friendships I'd ever had in my life.
I mean, it's similar for the community over here as well. It's like, I don't think I have like, I'm very close with the people back home, but I don't think I've had people who I've known for such a short amount of time become such like good friends.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if it's the fact that we're just older, so like it takes less time to just gel with people because we're just more sane as people. We don't have like teenage toddler reactions to everything. So do you have a friend group over there of how many people?
Well, I mean, I'd say it's even expanded like over the summer because people keep coming into the church and like people our age. So there's like 5 of us now that are pretty like tight. And the chanter at our church right now is, he's a bit older than us, but he was like a good friend of our priest in college. He's like 30. And he was in the area for a while, and then he was actually a novice monk. And then Is
that the one teaching you Greek?
Yeah. we had a lot of Greek conversations over the summer.
The Greek exam was... it was actually pretty good in the end.
Yeah, it was,
Actually turned out to be the opposite of diabolical.
Yeah, it was. I mean, honestly, I think like probably the most charitable professor I've ever encountered in my life.
It was just the first part of like getting into the language was just, that was diabolical.
It's an overwhelming language to start learning.
It is.
But once you get the hang of what is involved, it's just like...
Yeah, it actually turns out to be quite fun.
Yeah, it's not so bad.
everyone's talking about Christian revival right now. And like, yeah, it's really interesting because I got baptized last year and we had like a record number of catechumens in our year. And apparently for your church as well, it sounds like there's suddenly like people just going in, and it's like, where are they coming from? It's
amazing.
Do you know what their individual stories are? Are they like quite different, or are they similar like stories with conversion?
A lot of variety. I mean, like some people were coming from other churches or other religious backgrounds. Some people were atheist or agnostic, non-religious, and it's really like, and people from all ages and walks of life. I mean, we have right now the newest two catechumens are, I think they're either in middle school or high school, because their mom, I think it's, so I don't totally understand the family situation, but their mom is a catechumen, and she's being baptized within the next year, and then her two sons are also catechumens, so they're also converting. And this happened last year too. We had a couple, and there were like 4 kids who all were baptized last year. Last year we had like 14 people baptized. And Lazarus Saturday, so it's there's definitely a Christian revival happening right now. I mean, it's interesting. Like there's definitely something going on. You know, it's not just. And funnily enough, like I didn't realize this when I was, becoming a Christian. It wasn't like I like read the writing on the wall. I was like, maybe it's time. It was just, it just kind of happened to me.
I think with this revival as well, it feels like everyone's got the sense that it's just kind of happening. It's just, things are going quite bad, like in the world. So there's that sense of instability, but also like just I used to have this worry where I was like, everyone has their particular conversion experience over a long time. And I was always thinking like, man, it took me a while to get converted. It's just so much effort. I wonder like if other people would just not be bothered with this. But then you realize that like everyone just has different reasons for converting, and everyone has like a very long story. But yeah, so I was saying like, it was really interesting. Like everyone seemed to just they just seem to stumble in at the same time over the past few years, and it's often not like, it's never a story of, I was thinking about Christianity, I knew this and this and this about Christianity, and then I was like, sounds good, let me try this out. It's always some kind of way where they just get stumble into a church for whatever reason. And then, so it's always good to hear those stories.
It makes me think of that the interview you sent me with Paul Kingsnorth, where he's saying he felt like he was being hunted by Jesus. That's exactly how it feels. I mean, it's like, there was nothing calculated about it, like you just kind of fall into converting, like you're just, suddenly you're a Christian. It's like,
one of the other analogy, the famous analogy is the fishers of men. They just hook you in. You're just swimming about doing your own thing, and then suddenly one day you're in church and doing, you're prostrating something.
Suddenly,
like 10 years ago, if you told me like I would like genuflect in front of an altar, I'd be like, you're crazy, man. And what are you looking forward to then this year with studies, with painting, that's whatever, like?
Well, I mean, I'm excited to keep painting. I mean, that's kind of like, honestly, it's funny because I when I started studying theology and when I started being interested in studying theology, I had zero interest in art. And now I've gotten to a place where it's kind of like the theology thing is like in the background, and I actually care most about art again.
I think that's the right order.
I mean, for me, I think it is, honestly. I think that's just, but anyway, this year, like, I'm really excited to just keep learning and developing in this art, and continue, expanding my understanding of it through theology as well. Through everything I learn,
Because I'm not sure, like, with people who, I don't think there's anyone who I know who's a theologian who doesn't have something that's like feeding their theology. Like, I know with other disciplines, it's often the case, like, they can just do the discipline.
Yeah.
With theology, it's like, if you don't have all that stuff around the theologizing, then you aren't, you know, it's a very thin thing to do by itself.
Yeah.
In fact, I don't think you can do anything by itself. It doesn't have its own, like, set language where it's very, like, you know, I can just do theology.
Right. Like, what is theology?
Yeah, it's like close my ears to everything else and just do theology. Sit down at a desk and do theology. So, yeah. So I think that's the right order to be interested in the art before the theology.
Yeah, it's just funny to me because I didn't come here knowing or expecting that at all.
Yeah.
And initially, when I started the academic year last year, I was kind of thinking, like, what am I actually interested in? Like, why am I here? You know, I mean, I know that I like reading St. Augustine and I like reading St. John Chrysostom.
Yeah.
What does that mean? You know, like, what am I going to do with that?
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like I'm kind of starting to discover that, which is exciting.
Yeah.
And
Graham Ward had a thing, it was such a brilliant, like, small phrase where it was like, theology has no language of its own. It always has to borrow a language.
Yeah.
And in this case, like, the art is the language which it, like, sanctifies. Are you doing any courses in icons? I mean, you did one with Hayden Hart, right?
Yeah.
Are you doing anything similar this year?
Well, he does another one in May, but I'll have to see if it, you know, if I'm able to attend that one. I'd like to, but if not that, yeah, I'm gonna get some books. Probably just keep reading, trying to, like, do self-study.
Yeah.
And I'm also doing some online just drawing classes.
Yeah.
So I think hopefully that'll help me develop in a different way, like, you know, just continue, like, with technical, artistic skill. But it's tough to, things get busy really quick. Like, once the academic year started, before I was just, like, every day almost spending the whole day, like, painting or drawing or whatever. Now I'm, like, squeezing in an hour if I can, maybe a day. But you know, it's good. It's
what's Hayden Hart like then?
Hayden Hart is he's amazing. He's I would call him one of the greats. Like, to me, he's a living master and probably the most important iconographer, or one of the most important living, and just a very interesting person. Like, he's lived, you know, a profound spiritual life, and spent almost 12 years living as a monk, as a novice monk, but, you know, living a monastic life. And now for almost 40 years, he's been doing art full time, iconography and sculpting and painting and carving. So to me, he's a real hero of mine. Like,
is he like the pinnacle of iconography for you in the Eastern Orthodox tradition nowadays?
I would say so. I mean, for me, he's just the pinnacle of living art and faith. And, and I think what I really appreciate about him as well is that something that he says that a lot of people are not really willing to admit or talk about is that in order to be a serious artist, you need to make money. I mean, and what I like that he says is, you know, I don't do iconography to make money, but I need to make money to do iconography, right? And it's, if one wants to sink time and care into doing something, you can't just do it on the side, you know? And as much as it's difficult to realize for most people, and, you know, not practical, but I think that's really admirable and, you know, impressive. Yeah. So, yeah.
And do you know what the, you know, like, how many people are doing iconography? Like, in terms of, is it like a lot of people are doing it, and it's a big market where, like, people are trying to, or it's a small market where there are lots of skilled people trying to, like, outcompete each other? Is there like, you know, is it professionalized? Is there, like, a set sort of classical learning method or learning order which people follow? What's the situation like?
So there is definitely, like, a real kind of, you can be classically trained in it, but basically only if you live in Russia or Romania Not even Greece. I mean, there's nothing going on really in Greece.
Right,
Not in terms of iconography. You know,
there's a lot going on in Greece.
Yeah, just not in that
iconography.
field in particular.
Yeah.
But the thing, like, the thing is, in the Western world, the most like the biggest like education you can get, or the closest thing to a full-time like structured iconography education is what Aidan Hart offers, which is a 3-year part-time course.
Right,
But with the other question, it's I think the truth is it's very saturated. Like there are a lot of people who are painting icons, and a lot of people who are trying to make money from it.
Yeah.
If you just go on Etsy or Amazon and just Google it, you'll see so many people selling, and it's.
And the quality is, would you say?
I think it's rare to find like a classically skilled and like really. It's hard to like. You often find a lot of people who are capable of like painting an image of, say, Jesus or the Virgin Mary, but it's like someone like Aidan Hart is unique in that I would say they're an artist and someone who understands it as not only just like a religious craft, but as an art and something that is in the same domain as architecture and sculpture and something that takes attention and time and skill to be done in a truly beautiful way. And I mean, the truth is there are so many Christians out there and so many people who are just willing to have an okay like image of Jesus on the wall. It's like it's for most people that's fine. And there's nothing wrong with that. Of course, it's an image of Jesus, but I think there are definitely certain people who have a different understanding, and I would say like Aidan Hart and other artists like him tap into something that is kind of untouched by most painters. So, and that's like the kind of thing I think really takes just tons of time and real like dedication and pouring one's soul into it. So, yeah, it's an interesting kind of like field, if you could call it that.
Would you be able to like, so it's a very particular kind of field. Now, if you wanted to, for example, go from that to like oil painting or landscape painting or something like that, like, I mean, the term transferable skills isn't the right one. That sounds, that's corporate speak there. But is there how easy would it be to like go from painting icons to doing like oil paintings of landscapes? What would it take to make that kind of move? Yeah, I mean,
there are definitely people who have done that. I mean, someone I know of in the U.S. is an iconographer named Shane Swenson, who's also like someone who's been, as far as I know, who's been doing this like full time for a while now. Painting in churches, wall paintings, icons, but he also does portraiture, oil painting, and I think that's a like substantial amount of his work that he does. And yeah, the truth is, it's something that's interesting that Aidan Hart said last week. I forget who the quote was from, but it was that someone had said that with iconography, you have to understand that it's at least an art. It's beyond art in the sense that something profound and spiritual is something. There's a kind of communion with the sublime that is beyond, say, a landscape painting. But it is at least an art, and it is at least a painting. And so, if you're not able to at least paint something well, then you won't be able to paint a sublime image well. And so, you have to understand, like, ultimately, it's an art and it's a form of painting. And
it's more consciously oriented towards a transcendent good, right? There's a sense like there's an entertainment aspect to going to an art gallery that you don't have when you like enter an Eastern Orthodox church, right?
It's not just there on display for you. It's you enter into a microcosm. Like you become it's interesting, like you're not just an observer, you participate in something. Or at least that's the idea with an icon. It's
in a setting where everything around it is tailored to bringing something out of that painting.
Right.
Whereas in the museum, somehow it feels like there's blank walls and then just different paintings.
Yeah.
Around a certain theme maybe, or a certain artist, but it's a very different feel. You're kind of walking past and you're like, that's interesting, that looks good. But when you're like, almost in, I mean, I'd say like in Eastern Orthodox liturgy, like you aren't consciously thinking about, you aren't consciously thinking about judging like the art.
Yeah.
You're trying to enter into prayer, and the icons are there to sort of create that spiritual space for you.
Right.
So the kinds of judgment that's going on is quite different.
Exactly. I mean, you can think of it as an icon is supposed to be, as people often call it, a window into heaven, or you can think of it as a door or a gateway.
Yeah.
And the idea with this kind of gateway is not that you stand there and are marveled at the gateway, but you walk through it. You walk into, you know.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
And of course, like that's why, in a certain sense, you don't want an icon to be too good, because you don't want it to just become like.
You fetishize.
Yeah, it's not just something to behold. It's an entrance into something beyond it.
Yeah.
So it's sort of a liminal kind of space.
Yeah.
It's like
you aren't trying to create like a spectacle.
Right.
Yeah.
You don't want to just like tarry or remain there. You pass through into the divine, into the subject.
Yeah. That's good.
Which is like, it's totally different from, say, the point of a landscape painting, right? Where the idea is, and in a sense, you can enter into it because you get a sense of, this place, and you can kind of maybe experience what you might feel there. Or, but when you look at it, the idea is to, just be absorbed in the image. Like you look at it to just admire its visual quality. It's not like a stopping point.
Yeah, it's my former theology teacher had a really interesting phrase for this. When I asked him like, what's the ethos of his school, because he's like head of chaplaincy, and he just said, we're trying to create eucharistically adorative attitude in our students. Well, that's a perfect summary of like the whole point. About this year, we're going to Barcelona soon. Your grandpa's a painter.
Yes.
And your mum's also, you used to paint quite a bit, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you've come from America, you've been in Europe for a year. I'm basically asking what the biggest culture shock is. That's not like generic.
Yeah, oh man, it's kind of a hard question. I mean, the only culture shock I can think of is kind of a small one, which is just, and it's partly just because we live in a small city.
Yeah.
But there is a sense of convenience that I'm used to, even in my small suburban area in New York, that you don't experience here. And I don't know if it's just Leuven or if it's just Belgium or if it's something common in Europe in many places, but there's, you don't get this like commercial atmosphere where it feels like at any moment I could just get whatever I want, like, which is, I think is, it feeds into a really destructive kind of culture, but it's also very convenient. So as much as I don't advocate for it, I think it's something you get used to in the US and is very comfortable, that you just know, if I ever need food, if I ever need really anything that I could think of, there will be somewhere open probably all week, 24/7 for me to go buy it right now. And I could just drive there in 5 minutes. Whereas here, it's like if I forget to buy food, at a Saturday night at some point and I don't have any food, it's kind of like, I'm not gonna eat until Monday. It's an exaggeration, but there isn't this like kind of abundance. And,
it's like Wall-E. Have you watched Wall-E?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's that's what I think of.
Exactly. Yeah. It feels like I leave the spaceship and go back to the Earth. That's what entering Belgium is like.
That's European culture. Yeah, there we go. Okay. Right. So, we're in your workshop, which is also where you live.
Yes.
So this is your room. Now, tell us what you're going to tell us about today.
So, welcome to my room, my workshop, as you called it, and well, you can see where all the magic happens right here.
Yep.
This is where for about a year, almost starting in the second year now, I've been living and painting. So I started my journey painting icons in this room with this painting here of the Virgin Mary, painted in acrylic, very unevenly and problematically on a canvas. And this is where I began. And then about a week ago, I painted this with the great Hayden, who is my creative hero, who I did a workshop with in England. So this is two milestones, the opposite points of my journey. The very beginning and basically where I am now.
Yeah, so tell me about, so let's start with this one. So, okay, so to me, for example, I can tell there's a difference between that and that. But if you ask me to like point it at exactly what it is, that's like different.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be able to articulate it. So what is it about this that compared to that is?
So one of the most obvious things that that gets under my skin when I look at this now is looking at the halo, because this is probably the best evidence of the fact that I was a complete beginner and I was painting with acrylic paint, because you can see how incredibly uneven my painting job was. And this is because it was probably day one of handling a paintbrush for me.
Right.
And the color scheme is wonky and uncalculated, and the surface is very uneven. You could just see all these spotty parts and everything.
Right.
Which I think was both because it was acrylic paint, which is synthetic and, of a lower quality, but also just because of my lack of skills. Whereas here, although it's unfinished, obviously, so you see most of it is not covered in paint, but this is what I really learned, and especially what Aidan taught me last week, which is a mistake that I really had to unlearn, is, as he described it, not to fiddle with the paintbrush. Because what you can see I did here is I went in and I thought, okay, let me just cover the surface, and I changed directions and went all kind of ways, and it looks very uneven and kind of patchy. Whereas here, I just, as he instructed, evenly covered everything. And this is egg tempera paint, which is made with egg yolk and natural pigment. So it's based in real material and organic material, and so it has a really rich visual quality, and kind of just, it's very radiant compared to what is, the paint here, like nothing bounces off of it, but when you look here, you can see the light. So
I mean, an impressionist would be like that. That looks all right, like that. But like, I guess it's there are things with icons. There's a particular way of doing things where that's a no-no.
Yeah, and it's also just aesthetically speaking. Like, I mean, you could try to make an argument that there's something interesting about this, like for example, this surface. But just looking at things as an artist, or just looking at things with eyes to see like a visual language, it just feels off. It feels wrong. Like to me, the colors, the way the surface is. And also here you can see one side I highlighted very roughly and loosely, and the other side I didn't touch at all. So there's a bit of a two-faced situation going on here. So
she should sue whoever sold her that cloak.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So it's pretty evident that this was my first time picking up a paintbrush, but it's, looking back on it now, it's. I see what, I can see the learning. Like I can see the process that I went through and the things I realized painting it. And this too, I mean, there's many mistakes I see in it now, but it's pretty cool to have milestones and just to see. So that's something I like about having a small room, which is also my workshop, is I see all of my paintings like all the time. So I kind of am constantly realizing, the things I've developed and the things I need to work on. And it's the advantage of having your small student room as your workshop.
Yeah, it's really good. It's really good. Okay, should we move on to the Johns?
Yeah.
So these ones you painted for me.
Yes.
I was very interested in his stuff on icons.
Yeah, which is you can tell in this one particularly because I painted this one at the time when you were really interested in his text and his thought on iconography, and so the unique thing about it is this kind of feature with that sort of icon within an icon of St. John holding that image there. Very crudely rendered, but it was, so this was the first attempt.
Yeah.
And like with the other one, I'll point out the same issues. There's all this rough surface and unevenness and patchiness, because this one also is acrylic. And then...
I can tell with for example, the Halo, you've got less strokes going in different directions with this one.
Yes,
so
that is true. Like it is a milestone definitely in that as well. But you can see too, like it's very it's a very free-form idea of a halo. You know, it's really like kind of rough and bumpy and
right.
And especially if you look at the text, I mean, this font is just all over the place, right? So
I'm really zooming in.
Yeah. get a real
get a real look at what you've been doing here.
And so yeah, and then this which I completed a few months ago.
This is amazing. The colors on this really are like I had this in the chapel the other day when we were singing Teze, and Ohin and Ashu were just mesmerized by the color of that sort of, it's not turquoise, it's like I don't know what you call it, but
that background.
Yeah,
it's a really pleasing blue. Like you see that a lot in frescoes. Yeah, and especially like frescoes and wall paintings in Orthodox churches. You tend to have this kind of blue color. Yeah, because it's really calming to the eye. It doesn't jump out, so the figures really, receive the attention they need. Yeah. So I went with that here, and I feel like it is, it's a really pleasing color. Yeah. But as opposed to the lime yellow I have in the background here, which is or banana yellow even.
Banana yellow. Yeah.
So you just see what I also really feel like here is you can see the difference in attention that I put on. Just trying to like create a pleasing like picture, like thinking about things artistically and aesthetically, not just in a practical sense of, okay, let me paint an image of St. John of Damascus and, just put it down on the canvas. Whereas I feel like here it was a few months more of just kind of realizing what actually goes into something that's pleasing to look at.
That's very cool. Okay, and then now tell us a bit about what you're working on right now.
So now, this is a rough and unfinished drawing of my current project, which is an icon of the Transfiguration. So this is an icon I'm working on for a friend of mine, a former community member, Matthew, who asked me to do this icon for him. And it's an interesting one because there are so many renditions of it and a real variety of ways of depicting it. So like particularly with the figures in the bottom, you'll see them depicted in different ways and different poses, and so there's many ways to capture this one feast day, this one mystery from the Gospels. So it's a really interesting one to work on because it's also just very theologically profound, and it really inspires contemplation to go through the process and think about how you'll portray it.
It's very cool. Okay. Thank you very much. I think thank you.